You all thought the soccer was over, but when we bring James Sharman in, is because we're setting something up. And in this instance, it's Gold Cup semifinal action between Canada and Mexico. The game goes down Thursday. And James, after the number of injuries Canada had faced, not only pre-tournament, but in tournament as well, to get to this point has already been impressive. What has impressed you the most about this young Canadian side?
I think it's that phase. It's the depth of this team. Now we should acknowledge that most teams in this tournament are not their full strength squads. Through injuries, through resting, the European stars mainly are back home in Europe preparing for their club seasons. But still, Canada lose by far their two best players in John David and Alphonso Davies. How do you replace them? And that was always a big question, right? Well, Kyle Larin, he's injured now as well. And they've found ways to get over these injuries, and all that depth that John Herman had promised us for the last few months is true. It's a good squad now, not just a good first 11. And they're getting through some pretty decent teams in some pretty high pressure situations. So I think you should be very impressed so far with what they've done to get this far. Haven't done it for many years. I don't want to say the ghosts of 2000 are looking down upon this team, because Craig Forrest and the company are doing just fine. Thank you very much. But at the same time, there's some twinkling in these players' eyes, perhaps, that maybe a repeat's on the cards. You never know.
Well, on their way to that 2000 Gold Cup title, their only one in history, they had to beat and upset Mexico in a quarterfinal as well. Do you think this team, and you mentioned, again, not all these countries are at full strength, and Mexico certainly amongst them, without Chucky Lozano, who's been hurt, Raul Jimenez, who's been hurt as well, two world-class players there, but do you think they have the ability to beat this Mexican side?
Well, listen, Mexico, you're right. They're not full strength, but out of all the squads at this tournament, they're probably the most near to their full strength squad. They lost in the Nations Cup final a couple of months ago now. It really hurt them. So Tata Martinez said, I'm playing a pretty strong squad. And if they lose this match, there'll be a lot of heat on that manager. Can Canada win it? They can, but let's be honest, it'll be a big shock. This is a game we've been waiting for a long time. Faizal. We've seen this team grow and get better and win some big games in World Cup qualifying, but they've avoided thus far the really big powerhouses in CONCACAF. Now, they beat Costa Rica. We know that. That was a great result in the last round. A big moment, I think, for this whole program. But now you're playing Mexico. These are the games. These are the teams that Canada has to play and play well. Now, I know it's not in Mexico, the Azteca. It's in Houston. But I tell you what, there'll be 70,000 fans there, not many wearing Canadian shirts. So it's going to be a brand new environment for these players. A lot of these players, a great test. They are not favorites. If they win, it'll be a shock. But if they can play with Mexico, entering qualifying, end of the summer, it's going to be a huge boost to their confidence. So this is a big moment, a huge moment, probably the biggest moment in John Herman's career as coach of Canada.
Well, let's talk about World Cup qualifying a little bit, because it's not too far away. And again, there is a lot on the line here. Yes, 2026 was maybe the more pragmatic and realistic goal, but it feels like when this Canadian team is healthy, with John David and Alphonso Davies kind of leading that team, they can compete with anybody in that CONCACAF region. Is that too outlandish to say? Maybe not the top tier teams, but you don't have to be a top tier team to get through this round of qualifying.
But what are the top tier teams? Okay, the States and Mexico. Okay, fair enough. They're better teams. They're better squads. So where should Canada aim to finish? Well, why not third? Why not that Costa Rica spot? Because they beat Costa Rica already. They've beaten that team in this tournament. Like I mentioned, it's a big moment. So 3.5 berths for the World Cup from CONCACAF, right? 3.5. You finish top 3, you're in the World Cup next year. How exciting is that? And why can't Canada now compete for that spot? You look at the depth. People are saying this might be a golden generation. There's no might about it, Faizal. This is a golden generation for Canada. They got a coach who understands the players, players that are playing for the coach. They have the depth. They can absolutely now, I think, aim for that 3rd, 4th spot in CONCACAF now. And with it comes, at least a berth, perhaps to a playoff. So I think it's a really exciting time. And qualifying kicks off in just a few weeks now. It's amazing, really. They've got to hit the ground running. And I tell you what, coming off a successful Gold Cup where they made the semifinals at least, and maybe played against Mexico and played them very, very well, that puts them in great stead, I think, for what should be a fascinating few months for international football fans in this country.
we're always trying to grow the game here in this country and attract a new fan base and a bigger fan base, especially if this team is as good as many believe they can be. And we, the casuals might know the Alphonso Davies and the Jonathan Davids, but who are some of the standout players from this Gold Cup squad that fans should keep their eyes on?
Well, I'm going to mention a couple here. One is a veteran that everyone should know, and that's Junior Hoylett, because he's kind of been left in the shadows behind the new kids the last few months. He's been there. He scores lots of goals for his country. He's done the job. But the one guy that's just, to me, this is his coming out party this tournament, is Steven Eustáquio. Mm-hmm. He has been just sensational. He might be the player of the tournament so far at the Gold Cup. He's a guy that John Herman procured from the Portuguese system back in 2018, right? We didn't know much about him because he played in the Portuguese system. He's come out, he plays in the Portuguese Primera for Pacos. He's just dynamic. He's got this great compete level. He can pick a pass. We've seen that in this tournament. This kid, is going to be one of the big ones, I think, to watch going forward. I really believe that. We're going to have the Davids, the Larens, the Davies, the Buchanans, another great young player who's emerging right now as well. But Eustáquio, for me, has been the standout competitor for Canada in this tournament so far, and he's going to be key moving forward for this team, especially with a Teep Hutchinson getting older. So I'm just enjoying every minute I see this kid play because he's the real deal.
Yeah, him on the ball has been unbelievable to watch. And it's going to be exciting Thursday, win or lose. Look, the team is here and they have a belief that they can absolutely steal a victory and earn their way into the final. James, always appreciate your time. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks, mate. No pressure. Enjoy Thursday, guys. 70,000 Mexican fans. Who cares? Piece of cake.